Hey, Real Green Ninja here. The video you're about to watch is a supplement to the existing tutorials and help videos already available on the Real Green website. I do take a more casual approach because I'm presenting this information as I would if you called in, although I may have a little fun with it. This video is based upon the information I, as a Real Green technician, would provide using my experience on the help desk. This video was created on my own time to assist with areas of the software that may be waiting for an official help video or tutorial. At the beginning of the training video, I will have the version of the Service Assistant the video was made with. I will also try to be as accurate as possible, but be aware, as Service Assistant updates are released, things may change. I'm using the name Real Green Ninja as not to stand out from the other amazing technicians that I work with. I hope the information in this video helps you, so grab a cup of coffee, and I hope you learn something new. Hey, Real Green Ninja here. Today we're going to talk about the customer screen, so let's begin. First thing we need to do is to get there. So we're going to hit the little customer button right here. You can also go into customer and then customer maintenance. It'll take you to the same customer screen. You'll see when you open it up, it goes to the Customer Search tab. Now, I already did a video on the Customer Search tab, so if you want to take a look at it, you can. But under the Customer tab here, this is where you're going to put in the information or see the information about the customer's account themselves. So, for example, you'd have like the service address, phone numbers, email, if there's any notes and so on and so forth. So let's go into a little bit more detail by actually going into a customer and going into edit mode so you can see those fields. Now, again, you have like an email field here. You have titles like Mr., Mrs., Dr., Reverend, so on and so forth. Those titles are going to be added under your customer parameters and then titles. Again, as with a lot of things in parameters, you're filling in what shows up in drop-downs. So like I said, if you want to, you can add additional ones in here. Now, one I have seen added is there was a company I worked with that did a lot of work around a military base, and they had a lot of off-base housing. And so they actually put the ranks of the military in their titles so they could actually send out their message or their mailing to Sergeant so-and-so or Captain so-and-so, and that way they can actually put that in there. Now, of course, they'd have to make sure to update accordingly if the person got a promotion or whatever. But as I was saying, is you can put those titles in there. Company, again, might be the company's name. Maybe you're doing proper Dow Chemicals, and that may be the name of the company. And then the first and last name would be the point of contact, all right, because this is a commercial account or whatever. You're also going to put in the address. You'll see it has a house number. It has the direction, like South Castell or North Castell or West or whatever. You can also have the street suffix over here, and then they have a directional afterwards. So, again, it might be, M15 East or something like that. And you put in M15 and then East. Down here, we're going to have address line 2. And again, pretty much do it for whatever you do address line 2 for. And of course, your city, your state, and your zip. Now, you're going to have some phone numbers you can put in there. And you'll see that we do have fax in there, which not a lot of people use faxes anymore. So they might use it for like a alternate contact phone number or something. But what you're going to do is when you put the phone number in, you can check mark one of them, and that becomes the preferred contact phone number for that person. So if you go and create documentation stuff, we'll print that one out there. You can indicate if it's a residential or commercial customer, what their default billing type is. I do plan to do a video talking about what the different billing types stand for, but for the most part, it's probably going to be regular invoice. Now, if it's a customer that auto credit card pays everything, you can set it to credit card, but be careful because any jobs you add to that customer screen that don't have a default billing type set up could have the credit card added, and again, their credit card would be charged if you performed work. The other one you might possibly do other than regular invoice might be statement only. All right, you really don't want to do installment, and I really don't recommend credit card or ACH, which ACH is automatic clearinghouse. But like I said, usually it's going to be regular invoice or statement only. Statement only, some commercial customers will not pay on a statement. I know it sounds a little bit kind of odd how it's phrased, but statement only allows you to do what are called monthly invoices. And again, I plan to do another video on monthly invoices down the road. Default discount. If this person gets a discount on every single service or program you add to that customer, by default, then you can set it here. Now again, it's one of those things you have to be careful. Obviously, you don't want to do something like free visit because that means every single thing you add to them will be free. Although you might create a friends and family discount, okay? And maybe that is 100% off. Maybe it's your parents' house or something like that. Again, you want to create a unique discount code for those friends and families for each of the different discounts. And again, like I said, you can add it to the customer's account itself, and then any job or service is added after you set the default discount code, will then automatically have that discount filled in on the job screen. Now be aware though, anything that they currently have won't automatically get the discount. You would have to go into the job itself. In fact, if I even go here and do family discount, it pops up a message saying does not change discounts on any programs or jobs that are on the screen right now. All right. Send state, how long they've been a customer of yours. Now, usually people will do it when they add the customer to the system. Again, that's the way I usually do it. Again, it's up to you to decide how you want to do it. You can change that send state parameters, and I believe it's under general setup here and under miscellaneous. Where is send state? Okay. I know I thought it was over here somewhere. I know it was somewhere in there. You can actually modify when the send state is. Give me one second here. Come on, find it. I'm going to pause real quick until I can find it. Okay, unpause. All right. Again, there's so many different checkboxes and drop downs. It's been a little while since I've been on the screen. But right here, the send state. If we go into edit mode, you'll see you can have it like creation date, earliest transaction, or earliest sold date. Earliest transaction would be the earliest time you actually did something. It'd go by the done date of the first job you ever did for them. Earliest sold date would go by the sold date of the first job that you added to their customer screen that was in like a green status, and then you put it in sold date. So again, most people tend to keep it with a creation date. Like I said, it's up to you guys. I know sometimes people import, or they might buy a company from someone else. They'll go through and import the customer list. The send state would by default be the day they did the import. So they'll go in there and they'll change the send state to whatever is accurate. Again, it's up to you to decide how you want to use that send state. Company branch, right now, they are working on trying to get a way of doing it. But right now, you can only have one company or branch per account that's in the system. So if you have multiple branches in the system, like for example I do right here, then if I have a customer that has services that fall between the branches, so for example, let's say RGS Ninja is my lawn mowing side and my Real Green Systems is my fertilization side, I would actually have to have two separate service accounts in the system for this customer. Okay, and again, one account would be one branch, one account would be the other branch. Again, they are working on trying to make it so you can have multiple branches in the same customer. Flag codes. This is where we can add flag codes to customers, and this I can't stress enough. In my personal opinion, flag codes are one of the simplest yet most powerful parts of the software because of what it lets you do. All right. Again, a flag code is something unique about that individual or what that individual group belongs to in that group. So for example, if they have a dog, you can give them the dog flag code. And what's cool about this is you can actually filter reports. You can say, I want to find all the people with the dog flag codes because I'm going to start doing pet waste removal and I want to market to those people. So again, very, very simple to add and remove flag codes. Very, very powerful because of what they let you to do. Over here, and you have your call ahead reasons. Again, this might be why you have to call the person. For example, you wouldn't use new customer on their account because it would put new customer on every single service or program that you're going out there and doing. But you might do something like sensitivity, dog, locked gate, just to make sure the person unlocks their gate so your crew can get into their yard and do whatever work they need to do. Source, this is how they found out about you. All right. So for example, you might have like direct mailing where you send out flyers or mail and stuff like that. You might have flyers. Maybe someone referred someone else, and again, you might have a referral. Like I was saying, is you can go through and add a source for how this customer found out about you. And what's really cool about that is you can run reports saying, okay, how many people came from this source. Allows you to keep track of your advertising dollars. Up here, you have a hold to, hold from, and hold reason. You can put the entire person's services on hold in one fell swoop. Now, you can do them individually on the program job screen themselves, and again, I plan to do another video on that. But like I was saying, is you can put the customer themselves on hold by selecting a date. So, for example, let's say they're going to go on hold this weekend. Maybe they're having a party. They don't want you coming out and spraying chemicals. You can, put them on hold, and you'll see what happens. Oops, let me just sing here. When it's outside the date range, this area is going to be that same grayish color. All right. So, let's see here, customer request. There we go. Hit save. Again, you'll see it's that same grayish color as the rest of the background. But once they go on hold, once it hits that hold date, what's going to happen is it's going to turn blue. This is how it's going to let you know the customer's account is currently on hold. All right. And then, of course, again, once it goes off hold, once it gets past that date, it's going to go back to that grayish color. So if you call up and say, hey, I'm pulling my work, this customer's not showing on my list, all right, let's go to the customer's account. Oh, that area is blue. They're on hold. That's why. There are ways of overriding it, but more than likely, the person's on hold for a reason. Now, this area right here that has the hold information also has the customer's cancellation information. So again, if the customer calls up and says, hey, I'm moving, or I'm going with a different company or whatever, you can go ahead and put in the date that they got canceled, the employee that canceled the customer, and then also with the cancel reason. And of course, you'd have to put in the cancel status. There we go, like that. It's going to automatically throw this information in there for you, and you just select the cancel reason. But again, if someone else, canceled it or something like that, and you're just doing the work, just kind of, taking care of stuff, you can change that information. And we're going to undo that because I don't want to cancel this customer just yet. Up here, obviously, is the customer status. So if we click on active, or click on edit, you'll see that there's a different statuses the person can be in. Also, their account number. Account number you cannot change. The account number is their number. You can't change it. All right. Now, you have their general size. Most people use this as a serviceable lawn of the area. Again, different companies use the software for different things, but again, most of the time it's just a usable area. There is a way you can actually add different sizes. Like, so for example, let's say you want to distinguish the front yard from the backyard. There is a way to put in different sizes, and I'll show that in a different video when we talk about the property tab. All right. As far as units of measure, again, most of the time it's 1,000 square feet, although you could use different units of measure. The only one I've ever really seen do one for the main customer screen, as opposed to like the services and stuff on the property tab, is they actually did everything in yards. Okay, I think it was square yards or whatever. So again, it's up to you, but like I said, for the most part, 1,000 square feet is industry standard. Source of measurement. All right, if I go through and just put the number in there, it's considered measured. Now, if you do it through something like Measurement Assistant, it will show up as online measurement. Again, there's different ways of defining how this measurement was taken or entered in the system. Again, most of the time it defaults to whatever method you're using at the time. Tax codes. Tax codes are where you're going to tell the system, charge this customer tax. Again, like I said, a lot of things are actually set up in parameters. So if we go here, you'll see there's sources. That's going to fill in this drop down. You have things like call ahead reasons. Again, it's going to fills it, shows them this drop down, as well as under company parameters, financial parameters. This is where you add your sales tax. And again, you'll see because of my training or testing data and stuff, I have a whole bunch of different tax codes in there. If you don't have to charge tax, don't worry about it. All right, but if you do have to charge taxes, the code has to be in the system. This tax rate is going to be the percentage, so it's 7.4% is going to be 7.4. It's not going to be 0.074 because then that would be like 74 thousandths of a percent or something like that. So again, if it's 7.4%, you put in 7.4. Any tax codes that apply to them, up to 3 of them, can be added to the customer. The tax code has to be on the customer screen, and it has to be on the service, or if you're doing work orders, it has to be on the products in order for the system to charge taxes. Again, I plan to do another video of that down the road. Like I said before, you can add up to 3 tax codes, usually like city, state, and then maybe county tax. If you do charge tax, please create one called tax exempt or activate it if it's already in the system, which most people already have it in there. It's just not available. But put the tax exempt in there. So that way, when you add a customer, if this customer is tax exempt, maybe it's a charity or something like that, that you can identify it. Simply because if someone calls me up and says, hey, I have a customer who's not getting charged tax, and I go in the customer screen and I look here and I say, oh, wait a minute, there's no tax codes. What are they supposed to be charged? And we say, okay, they're supposed to be charged 6%. Well, if they were supposed to be tax exempt, guess what? Now they're going to be starting to charge 6%. So again, put that tax exempt in there. If you do subdivisions, if you have subdivisions in the system, again, under data, company parameters, routing parameters. Oh, not routing parameters. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Data, customer parameters. Oh, there we go. Address parameters. Again, you're filling what shows up in the drop down under this address parameters here. You can indicate it. And again, a really cool thing is if you do decide to put the information, then you can filter reports from it. Or use. This is also where you can set up the customer's default route. Again, this is the route they're going to be normally on by default. It does not have to be the same as the service route. Again, it's just going to throw that route in there for you if you don't have it already set up using like the Visual Route Designer for defaults and stuff like that. But again, this is going to be the customer's default route. Also, if you have territories set up in the system, again, most people don't even worry about them because it's for larger companies with lots of franchises, and that way their franchises aren't competing with each other. But if you have territories, you can also put territories in here as well, and of course map codes. Now, again, map codes aren't all the way of doing things. Most people don't even bother with them anymore. Credit limit. This is how much money the person can owe you before they go on credit hold, assuming that they don't hit any of the other credit hold parameters. Again, remember, if you've seen the general setup video under my parameter series, under general setup, you can set in saying, okay, if they owe at least $100 over 60 days, put them on credit hold. This way you can control saying, okay, you know what, they're kind of a slow payer. I want to make sure that, I get the money as services are performed and stuff like that. So you might put like a credit limit of $100. Well, as soon as they owe you more than $100, boom, they're automatically on credit hold. But you got to be careful, because let's say I did it for something like 8605, which is going to be the cost of a round. Okay, say, okay, I can do one round for them. Once I've done round, they're on credit hold until they pay me off. Well, if you do your price increases, well, guess what? Now the let's say it's $87.10. Well, as soon as you do it again, they're going to be on credit hold. So like I said, usually for the most part, you really don't want to mess around with credit hold too much. Again, you can set the default credit hold up here, or credit limit up here in data, general setup, miscellaneous right here. So again, usually with credit limits, you keep them kind of high simply because you don't want your customers always going on credit hold, unless of course that's the way you do business. The balances down here: net balance, prepay, and credit balance. Prepay balance is how much money they have set aside for certain services. All right, this is money that's in an envelope. It has the services written saying this is what the money is going to be used for. So again, this is going to be money that's set aside. Credit remit box, this is the bottom box down here. This is how much you owe them or they owe you that's not prepay. All right. So again, it could be a situation where maybe they prepaid for the fertilization, but you went out there and did a correlation. So their prepay balance might be $259.98, but they owe you $100 for the aeration. Well, the net balance up here is going to be the sum of those two balances. All right. So again, let's say they have $259.98 in prepay. They owe you $100. Your net balance would actually be $159.98. I call that we won the lottery. We're moving to Florida balance, okay? Or if you're living in Florida, you're moving somewhere else. Again, this is the balance that's going to be of, at the end of the day, all said and done, if they cancel their account, if they move or whatever, this is how much you owe them or they owe you when all things are settled, all right? So again, a lot of people get confused, and it was hard for me the first thing, because intuitively, I'm like, okay, this number plus this number would equal this number. Well, it's a little bit backwards. It's this number equals this number up here. So again, some people get confused about it. I know I did. It drove me nuts when I first started working here. All right, invoice worksheet notes. This is going to be a note that's printed on the technician portion of every single job that you pull for this customer. Every single invoice, every single worksheet, it's going to have a note in the technician. This could be something like, please knock on door, customer hard of hearing, because it's something that every single technician needs to know when they go out and do services. Things that are specific to the job itself, maybe they're certain wear personal protective equipment or whatever, would actually be on the service or program. Again, there are notes in here. I do plan to do a video on that. Directions used to be how to get to that property or how to get to that subdivision. Again, with GPS and stuff like that nowadays, and routing assistant and mapping and turn-by-turn printouts and all that stuff like that, I've actually started seeing people use the directions as in directions on how to do something or deal with something with this customer. So, for example, directions might be something, again, it's just like an additional note, might be something like, a customer needs to be notified, ahead of time or something like that. And again, it's just an additional place to put notes that some people are using it for. But like I said, it used to be for, how they found or how to get to the property. All right, down here is a service grid. You'll notice we have a checkbox called detail. If a customer is signed up with a program, some people like to see, instead of having it one line item, every single round called out. And so we can turn on that detail. It's going to show that. Now, I will admit, especially when I first started working here, this would confuse the heck out of me, because I come into the customer's account, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're signed up for like 7 different things. Well, actually, no, they're signed up for one program. It's just they're spread out. Each round is spread out. You got to be careful, especially when you're doing like lawn mowing and you build out the lawn mowing schedule, and it might be 30 or 40 rounds or 30 or 40 mows. Well, that's going to be 30 or 40 lines, so it can get pretty cluttered up here. So what I usually do is, when I'm helping someone out and doing troubleshooting, I might turn that detail off just to make it a little bit easier for me to read. And then we can just turn it back on when we're done. Service year. Again, you can decide what service year you want to view. By default, it always goes to the last service year that they had services for. So, for example, if this person only had services up until 2013, when I came to the customer screen and say 2013, because that's the last time they had services. Again, because I added services in 2015, that's why they show 2015. And we can also say show all service years, and you'll notice that it doesn't change too much because I don't have a lot of old data. but you'll see it changes and now it actually has the year over here to tell me what service year that job or program. So again, I have actually seen people do that, and like I said, it's oh my gosh, you got like 50, 60 lines to go through and try to figure out what service or job they're talking about. So like I said, sometimes I'll just turn these off. This is what I usually have my test data set at. All right, let's go ahead and save here. There we go. And now, we have a couple different buttons I want to talk about. The first one is this little pile of gold coins. What's cool about this, it will take you to the payment screen for that customer, and so you can put the payment information in, so on and so forth. You can also go to the payment screen by hitting payments up here and just typing the customer in. But again, that's like kind of a shortcut to put in the payment screen for that customer. There's a row of buttons across the top here. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on some of these, like the call, create an end of call, because I do plan to do one about the call logs and stuff like that. But again, you can click on that and either do like a quick note or call log. You can click on that search for neighbors. You can go through, and if you're using the postal carrier route import utility, you can say, I want to find all the people on the same postal carrier route, or I want to find all the people that are in the same subdivision, and so on and so forth. Again, you may have marketing customers in the system, and you want to say, well, how many customers are in the area? Well, we got one customer we're servicing. There's 10 customers on the area or whatever. Let's go ahead and market a little bit more aggressively. Geocoding. If you need to geocode the customer, you can hit this little globe, and that's where it's going to find them on the map. When you geocode, it's going to throw a latitude and longitude here in this property tab. Again, you have to have mapping assistant or routing assistant to be able to do geocoding. This little magnifying glass here, the online tools, this is going to take you to Measurement Assistant as well as what I call links of convenience. So if I right click on this, it's going to launch right into Measurement Assistant. Now, if you don't have the routing assistant, you won't have those links of convenience. When you click on the little magnifying glass left or right click, it's going to throw you into Measurement Assistant. Again, if you have a license. Let's go ahead and close that. If I left click it, you'll see it pops up a menu. Again, I can choose Measurement Assistant. We can go to Google Maps, find lot size, Bing Maps, and Zillow. Now, these four are outside third-party websites. All right, we don't support the websites themselves. All right, there was an issue, I think last year in 2014, where find lot size went down, and we got a ton of calls, people asking, and it's like I felt so bad saying, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. It's not our website. Again, these are more of links of convenience, to go to those websites for you. And pretty much what it does is it just goes through and throws that service address into like Google Maps or whatever. Okay, so you'll throw it in there for you. So again, like I said, these are links of convenience. We don't actually support them themselves. Now, another cool feature is you can say, I want to look for customers in my database that are within a certain distance. Now, of course, they do have to have geocodes in there. Now, you could manually add them all as you've gone through if you don't have routing or mapping assistant. But for the most part, we do have utilities which goes, all right, let's go ahead and give these people geocodes. But you can go through and say, you know what, I want to find all people that are in marketing status within X number of miles of this customer. And again, it's another way of finding out, like, not just restricted to postal carrier route or subdivision, saying how many people are within 5 miles of this person. All right, we got a lot of people in marketing. Let's be a little bit more aggressive with our dollars. Or let's see how many people are in the cancel status. Well, wait, why are these people canceling? Is it because maybe it's a very picky neighborhood, or maybe our technicians aren't quite doing what they're supposed to be doing and the customers aren't satisfied? Again, you can select what status of customers you're looking for, set your distance, and then you can print, preview, or export. Again, I always recommend previewing just to take a look. So if we do a preview of that, you'll see that we have 16 customers that are in active status, and it will go through and list them in order by how far away they are. All right, so again, it's one of those things where it's a really cool feature if you're trying to figure out if you want to be a little more aggressive in your marketing. This copy customer address to clipboard, when you click on that, all it does is it takes this address information and it throws it onto your computer's clipboard. So if I just go here, oops, let me do this here. I just open up a text document, and then, hey, there's a video I wanted to do, and actually ended up doing. You'll paste, you'll see again, it's going to throw that customer information on there for you. Put that back there. Okay. This calculates suggested service price. Now, this is a really cool feature. Unfortunately, you do have to have your services and programs or program rounds and stuff set up to do pricing chart or price charts. But what's cool about it is you can click on this little icon right here, and it's going to show you all the services you provide that it can calculate a price for. And you can say, you know what? Let's see how much it costs them for the organic lawn care program. And it's going to throw that total price up in there for you. Now, of course, if you have discounts, you can set the discounts and say, all right, for the friend discount, they'd save $106. If you want to, you can do service discounts. If you want to, you can say, okay, this is how much it's going to be for prepay. Let's say it's going to be 5% prepay. It's going to, again, it's going to show you all these in here. You can also change the size. Maybe you want to say, okay, well, how about like what's 50 would be? So again, you can change it, have it recalculate and everything like that. Now, if you don't know the size, you can use the size from neighbors within X distance or price from neighbors within X distance. Again, they have to be in the system, they have to be neighbors, or they have to be within that certain range, and you have to be geocoded and all that stuff. Now, over here, again, you can see what the total price is, any discounts got applied, the prepay discount, if they got charged tax, how much the tax would be, and what their final cost is. You can also say, well, let's see how much would it be if we did it as 10 installments. And again, you can tell the customer, hey, this is what, this is how much it would be if we break it up into 10 equal payments. And of course, you can always pick and choose. So for example, let's say they also, pick up the Lime application and overseeding. And again, you'll notice it's updating those prices. But like I said, you have to be able to calculate a price, which means everything has to be set up with price charts. All right. Now, another cool feature is that once you've checked it, if this customer calls up and says, yeah, that's what I want. And I'm going to go ahead and uncheck. Let's see here. Do we have a start over? Let's see here. Clear. I was just trying to see if we had like a start over thing. Actually, let me close that and open it back up. Boom, boom, boom. But I was saying another cool feature is, let's say this person calls up and says, hey, how much would it be to have a correlation and that overseeding? Sure, no problem. Let's check it here. It's going to be another $279.48. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And he's like, I'll even give you a discount, whatever. So I'm going to give the friends discount. And again, this could be $251.53. But like I said, one cool thing is anything that's checkmarked here, you can hit add services. It will ask you what's status to add them in, what the source is, as well as there's a call ahead, add services, and it will actually create those job screens for that customer. Obviously, when you hit save, you have to make sure to hit all your required fields, save, hit the required fields, but now this customer has those services. So again, it's really cool. You can go through and say, all right, this is what your lawn care would be, aeration, grub control, blah, blah, blah. Is this what you want? Yes, sure. Boom, one button click, and suddenly the job screens are being created for that customer. All right. Another thing you do is print address labels. Now, one thing to be aware of, though, is this address labels here was designed more for like address label printers, like those inline ones, not the sheets that you throw in your normal printer. Most people don't use those nowadays. But again, if you want to, you can. You can also do envelopes. But again, as with a lot of things, a lot of it is just trial and error, and I always recommend doing example prints and stuff just to make sure it's behaving the way you want. But again, you're going to select your printer. If you want to use a service or billing address, what it's going to be. But like I said, though, this is meant more for like the label printers, not the actual sheets of labels that you normally get at like Kinko's or Office Depot or something like that. All right. You also here we have what's called a prepaid calculator. Now the difference between the prepaid calculator and calculate suggested service price is the prepaid calculator is for services that they have. They have to have the programmer special job on their screen in order to use the prepaid calculator. But again, it's going to let you go through and say, you know what, 5% prepaid discount, you'd actually save $34.08, and it'd be $672.25 to get 5% on all the services. Again, it allows you to throw that in there. You can also tell it to include inactive services if they're in that estimate status, as well as you can tell it to use the renewal price instead. If the person agrees, you get the little pile of gold coins and actually enter the payment if they give you the information over the phone, like their credit card or checking account information if you have like ACH or whatever. And you can also break it up in installments. So again, if we come here, 5%, and we can break it up into the number of installments, and it's going to tell you how many installments, or how much it is be per installment. All right, go ahead and close that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about on this customer screen is the changelog. This is a very powerful tool in the software to find out who did what. This is why it's also important that when you log into Service Assistant, you log in as yourself. You don't want to be having like one general login that everyone uses. You want each person to have their own Service Assistant login. Now, if you're a hosted customer, you have a VMware login, which gets you to the hosted desktop. Then you have the Service Assistant login that gets you into Service Assistant. So again, this is why it's a good idea to have each person have their own employee ID and login for Service Assistant itself, because this is going to tell you what people have done. Now, it's not going to keep track of everything. All right. Every time you print an invoice, it's not going to say, oh, this person printed the invoice in the changelog, only because these changelogs would be huge. All right, but again, it will tell you important information. So, for example, if the discount got changed, if the hold date got changed, and again, it gives you a chance to go through and take a look at who's doing what. If I change pricing information, it will update that information in here as well. And the reason why this is important is because there's been quite a few times people call up and said, "Hey, why is this job's canceled?" No, I didn't cancel it. I'm the only one that does these things. Well, hold on. Let me log in and let's take a look at the change log and see who made the change. Oh, it was RGN. You'll need to talk to RGN and ask them why on this date and this time they made that particular change. So again, very useful part because, like I said, it keeps track of, like, if someone changes the status of the customer, changes the price of the job, if someone unprints an invoice, it indicates the unprint. Again, like I said, a lot of this stuff will keep track of the changelog. Unfortunately, not everything is tracked, and because of that, there are a few things I would like to see. But again, like I was saying, it's the last name change, size change and stuff. It allows you to at least keep track of who's doing what. So that's pretty much the main customer tab of the customer screen. And again, I plan to do the rest of the tabs later, but I hope you learned something new and have a wonderful day.